Hi everyone, Jennifer Blevins-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about inclement weather policies. Yes, we are at that time of year again where things are a little crazy in the country with these freezing temperatures. And that brought to my attention or my thought process that I need to do a video about inclement weather policy. Obviously, inclement weather is not just in the winter. Depending on where you live, it could be because of tornadoes, it could be because of severe thunderstorms, it could be because of flooding, hurricanes, etc. However, it just brought to my mind that it's probably a good time to do a video on this and to see if you have established your own inclement weather policies, not just for your staff, but also for patients. I don't know about you, but I have been freezing lately, and I have been very fortunate living in the Northwest this winter that we have not even gotten close to the freezing temperatures that most of the rest of the country, even the South, has been experiencing. And they're getting the frozen precipitation. We haven't gotten any of that, knock on wood, yet this winter either. I am not cut out for the winter. I am a warm weather girl. I literally am allergic to the cold. I have cold urticaria, so I am so happy to see when the warm weather comes back around. But it never fails that when I was a manager of the clinics around here, January, February were the biggest months where we would have to implement a lot of our inclement weather policies for our staff and our patients. Being in family medicine, it was kind of nice because our patients were usually long-term patients and they kind of had an idea of how things worked and they knew where to go or who to ask to find out if we were on a late start or we were closed altogether. However, if you're in a specialty that maybe you have a lot of new patients or they don't come as often, you have to make sure that you are able to communicate the expectations for patients who are on the schedule on days when you have inclement weather. Let's talk about the staff first. Hopefully, your first and foremost importance when it comes to inclement weather is making sure that your staff are safe. And I know this can be a slippery slope, no pun intended, because sometimes staff may unfortunately take advantage of the situation and maybe not be truthful or find an easy excuse to not come to work or come to work on time. However, you don't ever want to be liable for staff feeling like they have to get to work. And I do know hospitals have policies where they don't have a lot of flexibility on excuses for that. However, as a small private practice, you just have to know your staff, know your area, know the weather to make the best decisions for you. The biggest inclement weather issues that we have in Oregon are freezing rain, ice, and snow. The city gets half an inch of snow and it shuts down. People don't know how to drive in the snow here. A lot of people don't have vehicles that do well in the snow here. We have a lot of hills, a lot of curves, and it just leads to a huge mess when it hits us, especially during commutes, which has happened in the past. Make sure that you don't wait until it happens to have a policy. Make sure you have communicated to your staff that you have a policy and what it is. And then when you're watching the forecasts and you see there could be a possibility that you might have to enact the inclement weather policy, you have another discussion with your staff about it. I always had the doctor who could make it in no matter what. He was comfortable driving in it. So he always said, I will make it to the clinic at least. If anybody lives on my route to work, I can pick you up. Sometimes they would just go in, they would answer phone calls to help field phone calls. They would do prescriptions. They would see patients if they could make it in. We just kind of winged it that way. Nowadays, with technology, it makes it so much easier if you can log in from home to your EMR because you can have your staff call your patients on the schedule to give them a heads up about we're starting late tomorrow, or we may not open tomorrow, or we're not opening today. You have patient portals that you can send mass communication, text messages to patients. It's really, really nice. But you need to make sure you communicate to your staff on who's responsible for doing what and making sure they're keeping HIPAA in mind, because if they're accessing your system from home, there's making sure they're on a secure network and that they're not leaving it open for someone in their household to see the names of patients or access records. I mean, that opens a whole nother door of compliance stuff, right? But choosing specifically the staff you trust to be able to help you make the phone calls that need to be made, communicating to the patients that need to be communicated to, and who makes the decision whether to open late or to close the office completely, or even to send staff home early if something were to hit while you're at work. You need to have all of these ducks in a row so it can just run really well. When it comes to the patient side, you need to make sure that you instruct patients where you wish for them to be checking the status if you're open or you're closed, if you're opening late or closing early. Do you have a website that you can update easily and fast when those changes happen? Do you have a recording, a number they can call to find out? Do you send text messages, portal messages, emails to patients quickly to let them know? Training your patients, I know that's a really poor word probably to use, but training your patients to know where to look and what to be looking for is important. You do not want your patients going out into the weather trying to make it to an appointment and find out that you're closed or you can't see them, and they've risked getting there. God forbid, if they were to get in an accident or something on their way, it would be really, really bad. Making sure that you have communication. If you're looking at the forecast and it's looking kind of dicey, let your staff know to communicate to patients as they schedule them. There is a possibility we may be contacting you if the weather changes to reschedule you, or we might be opening late, or we might have to close early. Just giving them a courtesy heads up that something could be changing so it's on their radar. Life is so busy that people can forget things easily. So if you say it out loud and you kind of put it out there, hopefully it will be in the forefront of their mind. And maybe they try calling the office before they head your way just to make sure you're open or not. It's really important, though, to have this in writing, making sure that your staff, when you hire them, know what the procedures are, that you revisit it during the times of year in your area where you could face inclement weather situations, and just having that emergency preparedness in general ready to go at a moment's notice. That's a whole nother video I could do, is about emergency preparedness in an actual clinic, because I know, like here in the Northwest, earthquakes are always one of those threats that we can never predict, but we need to be ready for. And that is something that also should be in your policies and procedures. But again, we won't go over that today. It's just talking about the inclement weather policy. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and please share this with your colleagues whom you feel would benefit. I hope that you're doing well, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.